take a look at this. If I were to ask you what this was, how would you respond? Perhaps you'd mistake it for a game, which it sort of is, a part of one at least. Maybe you call it what it truly is, a combat test. Well, whatever your response, I'm almost certain you wouldn't say, well, obviously, that's a 2D action-focused side-scroller roguelike. Unless you read the title, of course. Hello, my name is Ethan, and I welcome you to the 8th devlog of the Rowdy Bunch. In this devlog, we shall be making the game more roguelike. Not roguelike as in the genre, but roguelike as in more like the game Rogue, after which the genre is named. To do so, I shall be replicating Rogue's gameplay loop. But first, I need to actually have Rogue to get to know its gameplay loop. After all, there isn't exactly all that much footage on YouTube of the now over 40-year-old game. It seems the game is available on Steam for $3, but I'm sure Michael Toy and Glenn Wichman wouldn't mind me pirating their game 40 years after its release. So I'm just gonna, yeah. Alright, the game loop of Rogue went something like this. Explore the dungeon, find loot, fight enemies, level up. This loop would repeat until the player either cleared the game or died and had to start from scratch. Although this loop seems simple on paper, it will actually require quite a few things to make it work. For that reason, I will be focusing on finishing the first 3 points in this devlog, while leaving level ups and the finalization of the loop for a follow-up devlog. Beginning with the dungeon, using a combination of tile maps, static bodies, and collision shapes, I create the dungeon. I say dungeon, suggesting a pair of quotation marks around the word, because this isn't a dungeon. It's barely worthy of being called a level. By level, referring to the levels of the dungeon of Rogue that you'd have to explore one after another as you delved deeper into the dungeon, and which would increase in difficulty the deeper one delved. But fret not, for I have a plan to create a massive collection of levels, much better than this one, with minimal effort. How will I do that? Well, you just have to wait till the next devlog to find out, but don't click off yet, there's more to come. Regardless, this dungeon, even ignoring its meager size, is still missing a crucial part of our gameplay loop. There is no loot to be found. The loot in Rogue came in 2 main forms, currency in the form of gold, and a variety of potions, scrolls, and trinkets that would either help or hinder the player on their journey. And I mean hinder quite literally, as unlike the cursed items of modern day roguelikes, which provide the player with some impressive benefit alongside their hindrance, Rogue's cursed items could just straight up end your run. And since Rogue was heavy into the randomness of its design, you wouldn't even know what a potion or scroll did until you used it. Either gaining something of use like an enchant, or more often than not, just getting yourself debuffed, leading to your eventual demise. Since my upload schedule won't allow me to create trinkets in time for this devlog's release, I shall instead prioritize currency, which in my game, unlike Rogue, where it serves much the same purpose as score in a game like Mario, can actually purchase items and services during your run, a kind of norm in modern roguelikes. I did attempt to innovate beyond just the odd crate. I did attempt to innovate beyond just the odd crate you'd find along your journeys by hiding my coins alongside aforementioned crates in sacks that will require you. Give me some water. Just a second, please. I did attempt to innovate beyond just the odd crate you find along your journeys by hiding my coins alongside aforementioned crates in sacks that will require you to destroy them in a single combo to access their loot, which would of course be better than that of the crates, earning you a guaranteed trinket alongside a large sum of 100 coins. A problem did arise with the making of the sacks, which up to that point had gone smoothly, just some repurposing of Jimmy the Dummy, which I'd had since the beginning of development, that being the fact that players could move them around freely since they acted as entities. So fearing that the player might find a way to bring them into encounters and places that they shouldn't be in, as a precaution I decided to tie them down using a custom rope script, which worked rather nicely. And with loot semi-taken care of, excluding trinkets, I move on to the arguably easiest part of the entire ordeal, the enemy encounters. And yes, this was actually rather easy. Not only do I already have enemies in the game, but this area has been heavily explored by roguelikes before me, so I didn't really have much to innovate here. One thing I will say in relation to Rogue is how the enemy encounters of Rogue were encounters in the pure sense, as in a chance encounter with one or more enemies. The idea of being trapped in a room with enemies is a new concept, not originally present in Rogue, as the enemies there would simply chase you around the level till you either killed them, died, or escaped to a lower level, giving you, the player, a startling sense of agency when it came to which encounters you participated in and which you avoided. I opted for a wave-based approach where enemies would appear in waves upon the player entering a predetermined ambush point. The player would then have to kill them within a certain time lest the next wave spawn, regardless of the player's progress with the current wave. This time limit isn't something seen all too often in modern roguelikes, but I decided it was necessary because otherwise stalling would be a bit too powerful, as players could just wait out their moves' cooldowns. So the threat of a new wave spawning and them being overwhelmed will hopefully encourage the player to defeat the current wave quickly and stand ready for the next, which would spawn immediately upon the prior one being defeated. Of course, this means upon reaching the final wave, the player will have no more reason to refrain from stalling, but I believe that to defeat the final and hardest wave, the player should be allowed time to think. And it will be my job to ensure the final wave is difficult enough to be engaging even without the timer. Now if time had allowed it, I would at this moment berate you with how I implemented semi-procedural generation into my game. But seeing as this devlog is already getting pretty long, I'm gonna stop myself right here. And request that you like and subscribe so you don't miss the next devlog where I explain the procedural levels of the game. Also feel free to leave a comment expressing your opinions on my work or perhaps something unrelated. And as always, till we meet again.